Hey there. I'm trying using the tablet, so I don't know where to look, and we're working on it. Anyway, um, it's close to Halloween, and I wanted to talk to everybody a little bit more about how to make it through Halloween, how we can option into making our new year, our spiritual new year, one that is prosperous, one that is free of family drama, people drama, any kind of chaos at work, because we have some things that we really do that kind of brings that on in order to learn who we really are. So if this strikes a chord in you, I hope that it's a chord that does really good in the aspect it gives you help in seeing how absolutely wonderful you are. And if it strikes the other chord, well, maybe it's time that you still see how wonderful you really are. And that's the whole point of going to our review. When we go to our review, we're trying to progress spiritually. And there's not one person that's perfect at this. So it always amazes me how we think that we are in perfection or we have to be in perfection when we really don't. It's a work in progress. There's no masters to be had in one lifetime. This thought process, this experience takes on its own show over the thousands of lives we've already lived. So, to start with, we need to remember we draw people into our story to help us wake up. That's the key point of that. If we have expressed a desire or a wish to be more enlightened, or if we have expressed a desire or wish to grow more in our gifts of spirit, if we have desired to create better for ourselves, then that's what happens. We draw people to us to help us show us where our weaknesses are in order to change that viewpoint so that finally we get fed up and we say, you know what, I just don't want to have that in my life anymore. So with that being said, we draw people to us so that we don't have to be anybody's victim. Okay? It's sometimes horrible what we put ourselves through, but we're not victims to somebody else. We are not, nobody did something that was meant to hurt you. It was meant to wake you. And sometimes we draw really mean people to us, or people are stressed and they act mean, and that brings through that level of awareness that we have to grow from. And we all do it. It's not one person over the other. It's not one person's the bully. It's like a circle. I remember taking classes in domestic violence abuse. I found myself in a relationship where he actually threw me on the ground, and I thought, wow, nobody had ever hit me before. What was it that I needed to learn from that? So I went and I started taking classes in domestic violence. And a lot of people know this one. You start with the savior at the top, the person that rescues everybody, and you start with the person who's the victim that needs the rescuing, and you start with the other person who's the perpetrator. Well, I can tell you that all three of those can be interchanged at any given time. And we do that in order to understand each role. Understand the days that we're not in compliance with our own unconditional love or our own heart or our own welfare. We might be stressed out. We might have gotten a headache and under the weather. And we have that. And we have to understand that when we are that person, then we can be perceived as the perpetrator, okay? The victim is who we would release our emotions on, okay? And the savior is the person who steps in to fix the situation. Well, when that happens, if everything goes into compliance, the person who was being the savior can end up being the bully because of the simple fact that the bully at that point, you have to have somebody to blame. Well, she told me, or he told me to tell you this. And we perpetuate this cycle in which we're struggling with who are we? Are we the victim? Are we the perpetrator? Or are we the rescuer? Yes. The answer is yes. As long as we are still living in our subconsciousness, we are working at being all the above. So, yes, it's absolutely horrible what people put themselves through. I absolutely have compassion for the people who are going through pain and suffering. I've been there. I know that it's a lonely road to wake up. So if you think about it, we're living in 2021 at this moment. This is where our subconsciousness that we have awareness is activated. We could be in like 1200 AD, and you have wars going on where they're bludgeoning the villages and burning the villages and raping the women and killing the children. And that to me is trauma on levels that I can't even comprehend in today's day and age. So I guess we've gotten a little more civilized with our drama, but it's still traumatic what we go through. One lifetime does not necessitate a better or worst case scenario for our trauma. It's just we have a different perspective because we're not used to having somebody run through the village and bludgeoning everybody and burning and raping and pillaging. And so it's kind of you have to weigh your balance in the consciousness growing aspect that we're doing a little better. So we have been trying to wake up. Our lifetime in this lifetime is not just what our childhood was like, it's what a lot of our childhood was like in many lifetimes, because we tend to gather that energy, and as we hold that energy, we keep recreating that same level of awareness so that we break out of it. Say, for instance, if we were really going to be impoverished, we wanted to live that we really believed that we were never going to have adequate food or supplies, we would have incarnated to a country that didn't have clean water or didn't have adequate food supplies. Yes, I know there's parts of America that are in poverty and they're starving. Absolutely. I'm just saying that overall, we have a very impoverished mentality here in America that's beginning to go full cycle. We don't have the new this, or we don't have one at all. And that kind of gathers up our want list. And when we're getting into the wants creates that fear of lack. So want and lack walk hand in hand with fear. We need to understand that it's our beliefs that we are creating a better world. And I firmly believe this. I believe that everybody who is absolutely mentally, emotionally, or physically struggling right now are actually trying to wake up to create a better world. Whether we make it or not, I don't know. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm going to say, hey, I'm already there. And I'm going to create from that vantage point. I'm going to own the power of who I am today. And I'm not going to keep buying into that mentality of fear. It's difficult. So, let me give you an example that I use in one of my classes. Say we're in the rivers of life, okay? Down at the bottom, the energy moves real slow, and the catfish and the scum-sucking bottom feeders that clean up the bed of the river are down there. It's dark, not a lot of light. There's a lot of rocks and crevices they hide in, and they can be brought out so we can eat them, by giving them a tantalizing worm or whatever it is. But for the most part, they're kind of sluggish and down there, and they're not really, I'm not saying they're not have their use. Of course they do. They help feed us. They clean up the bottoms of the rivers and oceans, and of course they contribute. But if our mentality is down there at the bottom where we're moving slow, we're not trying to move very fast, we could become angry real easy, or we could be living in fear and literally like my little chihuahua who hides from everybody, just ducks and wants to hide because he lives in such fear because his little life was very traumatic to start with. So, think of the energy down there. And so you get into the middle of the river, and it's not like we don't go up and down. We can do that in this lifetime too. But, you're going in the middle of the river. It's at a decent pace. You got a little more light so you can see the rocks that you bump up against. And that can be a very overpowering time that we have to go through this. And that can be, up one minute, down the next. I call it the low earth, the middle earth, the high earth. I've used that phrase repeatedly through other videos. So we're at the middle earth. They can swing up and down, up and down, up and down. The low earth, it's a little harder to come up, but it's so much easier to stay down. And then the high earth, it's much easier for them to stay where the sun is shining, the water's going readily along, the bugs are at the surface, they don't have to go digging through muck and mire to get anything. They eat, they have plenty, and they're warm, and they're thriving at that point. So we kind of have to look at our lives going through like that. Do we want to stay in lower earth, middle earth, or high earth? I think a lot of people, this is a really big review that we're going through for Halloween. We're having to make that very determined choice of whether or not it is a choice of being in, it's a choice of, do we want to stay in that consciousness? Do we want to stay in the fear? Do we want to stay in the subconscious and not recognize who we are as light beings? And our beliefs, bless our hearts, our beliefs about ourselves should come from ourselves, but instead we allow our beliefs to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Verified by the actions and the people around us. So we allow them to take over our power. We allow them to come in and feel those needs of what we need to do. If we believe that we're not good people, we will bring in people that tell us that we're not good people. If we believe that we're fantastic metaphysical beings, then the energy coming back at us is going to be that. A lot of times our core family is the ones that trigger some of our more negative beliefs about ourselves, and that's why we incarnated, because that's the stuff we have to scrape off our plate. That's the stuff that we have to quit believing. And we lose ourselves in the stories that are around us by the people that we are listening to or hearing from. It's hard. It's hard. And what's ironic about this is that everybody will pat themselves on the back going, oh, I told her or I told him, this is the way that I believe that life should be led. And they're so proud of being the person who tells everybody. And at the same time, they don't allow that person who may have said something horrible to come back and be, understand where they're coming from. We quit listening to each other in its entirety. So what we do is we listen to part of what they're saying, and then we make the rest of it up because it's predicated on our own belief in ourselves. Oh, rats, I thought I'd gotten them out. I want to show you guys something that's really kind of cool. I'll get it out. So everything that we bring to ourselves is that if it causes us to wake up, yay, we can love those people and bless those people and thank them for doing that. If it causes us to feel guilt or victimize ourselves or to feel anger, then we have to say, what the hell are we doing to ourselves? Because they didn't do it. We gave them approval by buying into their thought process. And again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm just trying to say, I'm not trying to say somebody's bad because they went through a bad relationship or they were physically abused by their husband. Nobody deserves that. But I can tell you from my own personal experience that having had been abused by somebody, that I liked the personality trait that he was so strong and he was so powerful. He was going to protect me and my kids. And when he threw me on the ground, it was like, where'd that come from? So yeah, I bought into the story because that's what I believed of my own self-worth. So again, this is not a judgment on others. I'm just trying to share with you what you can create this Halloween for yourself. And the way you can tell if you're doing okay with it is, does what they say or do bother you? Because that's striking at your ego. If what they say or do bothers you, it's your ego that's involved. And do you sit and stew and react? Again, that's the ego being involved. Do you sit and say, wow, thank you for that lesson? That's a hard one. I don't know too many people who can immediately do that. I can't. I have a tendency to get a little defensive when I feel threatened, predicated on the PTSD that I have, and I'm working through. So, knowing that we are great, wonderful metaphysical beings and that we have all this power of the knowledge within us is wonderful. But it doesn't always pan out that way. It doesn't always go the way that we want it to. So, it's kind of like my son would go to school, and when he read, it would be like, the sentence would be, the brown dog barked at the lady crossing the street. And he would read, the barking lady crossing street, because his dyslexia would miss pieces of the words. So with that being said, we do this within the stories that we, in our interactions with each others, we miss those pieces that are the fill-in. When I was first at the church and I was training, people were getting angry at each other. If somebody walked in, they had a headache, they didn't feel good, maybe they were living under stress, their finances were, and people took it personal. When we go through this, we go through and we have this decision that we have to make. We hear what we need to hear, but it doesn't mean that's what we should have heard or was the whole story. So we have to sit back and wait a minute, maybe ask a question. What is it that you really meant by this? Maybe somebody misspoke. Those are the things that we do to bring ourselves into higher awareness and to bring calm to our life so we're not living in chaos. We hear these things that we need to hear so that, because of the next 3 years are going to be kind of rough. We're going to be making decisions on where our spirit goes from here. It's what we have all created in the collective consciousness, this chaos that seems to be slathering us with anger and fear and frustrations. So the next 3 years are our opportunity to shift in our consciousness. It's the opportunity to love ourselves. Not just say the words, but really feel that love. This opportunity that we have is for you to realize, to choose to fill your world with beautiful love, unconditional, beautiful light, to draw like-minded, conscious, awakened people to you. And if you have those people that are working at that to share with, you are very lucky. You're very blessed. Think if you were in a country that suppresses people predicated on their religious beliefs. What if you were around people who belittled you because you were a female? Or what if you were going to be killed because you're gay? The LGBTQ community has still not gotten equality across the world. So, we're not in that kind of way. So we can be thankful that the people that are around us are not trying to suppress us. And if they are, shame on them. Or thank them because they're telling you to wake up. Either way, it's okay. If you have people who are working at waking up and are walking beside you. Again, bless yourself. Bless yourself. Thank yourself because you created them in your world. You did really good. And if you understand this year was tough with all the retrogrades and you almost broke down, be proud. You didn't. You're making it through. We've only got a few more months to get to 2022. Not that I think 2022 is going to be any prize-winning exercise and easiness, because we're going to see people that are going to be frustrated and angry, but we have to raise our light high enough that we don't get caught up in it. To help you, I wanted to show you, so hang on a second. I didn't get it out of my purse before I started. Okay, many of you know that I have been taking the Michael Rhodes Great Awakening course, and I can't say enough about it. To that end, I want you to consider buying this deck of cards. It says, I'm trying to figure out a way if I can see this, Choose Love Here. It has some blank cards in the back for you to fill in your own words. It has 2 blank cards, but then there are other cards that have words. I don't know if you can read that. Non-judgmental, okay? And he's got these cards, and he talks about them in his course. I'm going to tell you about the cards, and then I'm going to tell you where to get the cards. First off, if you decide to get this deck of cards, don't let anyone touch them. If you have a spouse or children, buy them their own deck if they want their own deck. Keep it with you and on you for 3 days to a week, so it gets your energy intermixed into the cards so that they become yours. Okay? And after you have infused, thank you, that's what I'm looking for. Whoever said that out there. Infused your energy into it, okay? You're going to find that these cards are going to react to you. So you're going to put them on the side of your bed, and you're going to wake up in the morning. Now I'm using mostly his words because I wanted to make sure I got this right. So you're going to put these cards on the side of your bed, okay? And they're going to teach you how to create your life. And it's going to be really powerful. Because what happens, and I just got my card, so I'm still on my infusing it with my energy. You wake up in the morning, you open the box, you cut the deck. So in other words, it looks something like, I shut the cards, see how I am. You go in and you go in with the cards, and that's your word for the day. Healing, okay? And so what you would do is that you would then say, before you get all the way out of bed, I consciously choose unconditional love and trust for myself. Again, I consciously choose unconditional love and trust for myself. You set a timer on your watch, on your phone. I tried getting one that was kind of cool. I haven't figured out how to make it go off. But every hour, do it for 10 hours, you get a little buzz, and you pull yourself away from that, and you say again, I consciously choose unconditional love and trust for myself. You feel that. You feel that love. You feel that trust, and you emotionally gather to it. And he said, if you can't feel it, fake it. Fake it till you make it. And then you look around to see what's healing. So maybe your healing comes from the water you're drinking. Maybe your healing comes from sunshine. And send your thoughts to that and thank that object that you have recognized as healing for you. And thank it for giving you the healing, for bringing the healing to you. Thank the earth for supplying you with healing food. Appreciate all of this is he said start with the word appreciation, and that's the word he started with. He loves to appreciate things, but when your word comes up, you need to find those things that will shift your awareness, and do it for 10 hours. Set your timer 10 hours to go off, 10 alarms, whatever it takes, to say, I unconditionally love and trust myself. And own that power and look around and say, wow, I am in a place of love and light, and it's healing me, or whatever it is for your word that day that you need to do. When you go for your review, I know a lot of you have signed up for the workshop this weekend. It's a really powerful workshop. So a lot of people will be coming out there and doing the workshops. And when you do your night of Halloween review, it's very involved to do the entire ritual. But what you want to do is you want to make at least make a half attempt. Make a list of the things that you would like to achieve. Things like, I want to grow spiritually in gentleness. Don't say, I want to grow spiritually, because then you get a lot of chaos that makes you look at yourself. I want to accept myself for the being I am. I want to love myself unconditionally. And again, using the word want isn't a real good thing, because we just talked about, fear. I want to, and it leaves room for, but can I? So I love myself unconditionally. I am a great metaphysician. I am a beautiful spirit of light and love. I bring light and happiness to the best of my ability wherever I go. I am the best that I can be, and I'm getting better every day. These are the phrases, the thoughts, the things you should be doing for yourself, because it's important. It's important that we know that we have this power within us, and it's important that we know that we're in this together. So with that being said, 12:30 on the dot, Johanna should be coming in. I'm going to wish you guys a beautiful day. My heart to all of yours. Love you. And I will talk with you soon. Bye now.